In the streets. Do you think any justice is going to go home when this is released? The justices won't be able to go home for months, so they're going to have to flee to other parts of the country, and that's a sad day. But the Biden administration has really refused to have a full-throated condemnation of the people gathering outside the justices' houses.
The White House condemned violence and threats against justices today, but why can't they condemn the dangerous illegal protests at the justices' homes? Let's bring in Charlie Hurt, Washington Times opinion editor and Fox News contributor. Charlie, good to be with you. I mean, and that is the question. So the House could have passed a bill to offer more money for more security for justices. The DOJ and the FBI could start arresting people who are breaking the law protesting in front of justices' homes. Yeah. But none of that's happening.
Yeah. No, and you know, talk about laws that are in place that we don't enforce. Right. It is presently a felony, a violation of federal law, to be doing what they're doing in front of these justices' homes, and they're not refusing to enforce those laws. But then a step even more appalling and even worse is the idea, as you point out, there's legislation before them. How this is controversial or partisan, I don't understand, in order to provide adequate security to these justices, given the fact that they refuse to enforce the laws that they have an obligation to enforce. We've sort of reached a new low that I didn't think that we could possibly reach.
You're right, and I think, you know, when you run for office, you sign up for getting blowback. People are not going to like you, and you want to be on the court, you're going to get the same thing. But what concerns me is both of us are fathers. What happens to your spouse? What happens to the little kids in the home? And the fear that they have of these protests, I think that really is the Achilles heel for any member that steps or justice that steps forward into the limelight, that they're concerned for the safety and the well-being of their own families when these protests happen, or these threats of a gunman coming to the front of your house with zip ties, Charlie.
Yeah, it's incredible. No, why would anybody run for office today? Yeah. I don't understand it, because and it keeps getting worse and worse. But I also think that, because it's inexcusable, this kind of behavior towards elected officials is inexcusable. But it's even worse against justices. These are, you know, at the very least, you know, you and I have spent our lives in the rough and tumble of the political world. We get into arguments with each other. We get into, heated discussions about these things. And that's kind of what the whole purpose of all this is. We do that so we don't get into fistfights. But the idea that justices are not in this sort of world, and the idea that they would be subjected to this, and their children and their families are subjected to this, it is a step way too far.
And it's a really good point, because as a member of Congress, you can come to my house and protest. It's horrible. Right. It's uncouth. You can go to media members' homes, which they have, and protest there as well. That's lawful, though bad. Right. But there's a law against saying you can't protest in front of a justice's house. You can't protest in front of a jury's house, because we understand that as trying to unduly influence a judge that's not supposed to be partisan. They're supposed to base their decisions on the Constitution and the law.
Yeah, gangsters go to jail just for that, right. For trying to get to jurors and to threaten them, yes. To try to get to change their views on, to subvert justice. That's why it's such an important part of the important issue, because it is actually subverting justice in an unlawful and thuggish way. We don't allow that.
And here's what burns me with regard to the media. They're like, oh, the right is violent and this extremism on the right. And if you look at BLM, Antifa, you look at what happened on the baseball field with Steve Scalise, you look at the threats in front of justices' homes, and the violence that's coming, it really is coming from the left. And at least when there's violence on the right, you and I both stand together and go, listen, we're going to condemn it, because violence has no place in America. But liberals, Democrats, oftentimes sit there and go, oh, we're not going to say anything.
No, it really is. You can't avoid the marked difference between the two. And I think a big reason is exactly what you said. It's because if it ever does happen, some right-wing kook does something really stupid, whether it's January 6th or whatever, we're all like, this is awful. We condemn it. And then suddenly that becomes the one thing, one piece of unity there is. And then they, of course, run off with the circus about it. But where is the outrage when it's the other way around?
And again, in a civilized society, there should be outrage on both sides to that point, because this has no place in society. But I do want to get your take on this, because in San Francisco, where crime is absolutely surging, the district attorney, Chesa Boudin, has been recalled. Here's what he had to say about it.
People are angry. They're frustrated. And I want to be very clear about what happened tonight. The right-wing billionaires outspent us 3-1.
Charlie, the right-wing billionaires? This
beautiful.
is a George Soros-funded prosecutor. He was elected because of a billionaire, and now he's complaining about billionaires in his race?
Yeah, no, it really is. It's too beautiful. You can't make it up.
No, you can't.
And nobody more richly deserves this than Chesa Boudin. And of course, and I think it's also kind of interesting to dig a little bit deeper into some of the polling as to why San Francisco voters voted to recall him. And you'll see that it's not just crime, and the crime is horrible.
It is.
Because if we do not have peace, if we are not safe in our homes, then we have nothing. But it's also the quality of life issues that become completely unhinged when you don't enforce basic laws. Life is miserable without law and order. And I think that the most liberal voters in America made a firm demonstration of that last night.
When you devolve into Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome,
Yes.
all of a sudden people are like, you know what, this sounded good, these liberal policies, when you talk to me on the campaign trail, but when you implement them, I really don't like crime sprouting out of control in my neighborhood. I'm going to throw them out. I got to go in a second, but quickly, is this the end of the woke politicians or DAs in America, or is this just a one-off?
Oh no, I think it is the end. I think that they are being exposed for what they are. But you know about Mad Max, I think the big difference is I think gas was cheaper in.
I think it was too, right? And it didn't exist really anywhere, did it?
Right.
Charlie Hurt, thank you so
Great
much
to
for
see you.
joining me. I appreciate it.